We're going. So where are you guys right now?
Home. Everyone is home. I'm in Colorado Springs at my house here. So.
And so you're in Colorado Springs as well?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado Springs.
Cool. All right, so let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Moments Off the Mat. We have World Silver Medalist Sarah Hildebrandt, and we have Coach Clarissa Chun. I'm not sure if you guys can see her. I can't see her on my screen, but Sarah can see her. So,
yeah. Superpowers.
Say what?
Sarah's got superpowers.
I just decided to own the whole screen. Very selfish of me.
So let's just start off with, obviously, everyone's stuck at home. What are some things that you guys are doing to pass the time? Sarah, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I'm obviously finding ways to work out still. So, whether that's jumping rope or like just at-home workouts with like a Bulgarian bag or a plate. So I still am trying to work out twice a day. And then, I have a little extra time now to read or hang out with my boyfriend and my sister or bake. So just really things that I still love to do when I'm still training. I just have more time to do that. So it's kind of nice.
Clarissa, what are you doing?
Me, work out at least once a day. I don't do quite twice a day. I'm like, not no more. I'm good. And then a lot of conference calls throughout the morning or afternoon, and I watch some wrestling videos, and then just some things around the house that I just, kind of felt like I wanted to tackle, and I'm excited next month to get back on board and like learning Japanese again. So, yeah.
Clarissa, is there anything you're doing that's not wrestling related?
Well, I cook. I go outside for a run. That's not wrestling related. That's just like enjoying the sun during this beautiful day. I walked to the grocery store the other day. Just staying busy.
Yeah. We are having really nice weather. I feel like most, like this time of the year, I'm usually stuck inside, right, from working at the office, and now I can go outside whenever I want, which is so nice. We've had really nice weather.
I know. I hope it stays like this because bad weather is just a cherry on top of all of this. Like, cooperate, Mother Nature.
Let's get into, Sarah, you mentioned like you're baking, you're reading, you're doing some of your hobbies. Like what do your hobbies include, and like what are some things like for example, what are some things that you're baking or some things that you're reading?
Yeah, so I'm reading a few books right now. I'm reading Secret Life of Trees, I think it's called, which I was telling Clarissa about actually, so it's perfect. We can have book club now. Yeah. So I'm reading that, and it's basically just a book about trees and how like they have like community within themselves and even with their competitors. And it's a really interesting book that everyone should check out. I think it just puts a lot of things into perspective. I'm also reading my typical fantasy type books. I think it's called The City in Brass or something like that, which was really recommended to me through the like fantasy community. And then I'm always reading a sports psych book. And so right now I'm reading The Mindful Athlete. Almost finished with that one. And I think it's really suiting for the time because it's not about like necessarily like going out there and training and grinding. It's all like what's going on in between here, like mentally, how you can kind of just be more mindful. And so I just think that's perfect for the time because it's, I can't focus on the psychology part of like training. I have to focus on the psychology part of just mentally preparing. So yeah, I think that's been good. And then I'm baking. I made white chocolate cheesecake the other day. And I'm probably going to bake some bread now that I have this time. And it also keeps me from having to go to the grocery store to pick up bread. So that's good. And then, I don't know, kind of go through some of my recipes I've been wanting to make. I don't have to necessarily weigh in for a little bit. So might entertain some of the sweets that are always calling my name.
So, like you said, you don't have to weigh in for a while. So what is one thing that you bake or cook that if weigh-ins weren't a thing, you would eat every day?
Oh my gosh, cookies, anything sweets. Like I love pastries. I love cookies. Obviously, that cheesecake was freaking yummy. But yeah, I'm like I have like the world's biggest sweet tooth. So it's definitely just trying. And, I want to get better at baking. So it's nice that I can just really bake anything I'm trying to like get better at, whether that be croissants or some type of, like cake or something. Like it all to me is like helping me get better. And then in the same hand, it's like, I freaking love this food. So at least I can enjoy a little bit of it right now.
I suggested to her to make a Japanese cheesecake.
Yeah, I need to. She needs that. It's gonna move up on the list.
What has been like the hardest thing that you've ever tried to make?
Croissants.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a very like timely process. It takes a couple days. And it's just, I mean, baking in general is very finicky, right? Like there's a science to it. And, just even the weather outside can impact, what you're making. So, I mean, bread is very difficult as well, but I feel like I've attempted bread a lot more, so I'm getting a little bit better. But the croissants I would try, and I tried a few times, and they just always turned out bad. So clearly, I need to step up my French patisserie game.
Let's see. Chun, anything that you're cooking that is new for you?
Ooh, what did I make? I made some Middle Eastern chicken kebabs the other day that I don't know. I cook a lot of Asian foods normally, but I really do like the spices and the flavors of the Middle Eastern. I'm not very great at it, but it tastes good, and I draw inspiration from like TV shows like Top Chef. I'm like, yes, I want to make that. So, but yeah, nothing extravagant or baking like Sarah's croissant.
The croissants are a fail, so you're good.
Yeah. I'll be a taste tester. I love eating kinds of food. So,
are you cooking for just yourself right now?
No, my friend Diane, we live together, so we just cook back and forth, and I made like a honey salmon with a few.
Sorry, my animals are going crazy.
See, I need a mamba. I need a pet. So can I borrow your?
That's a nice part of working from home.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's huge.
So cute.
She's chasing the cats right now. Okay, so I will just kind of go into like a little bit more serious stuff, and then we'll go back into the fun stuff. So we'll just sandwich the serious stuff in between. Okay. So for Sarah, for you, you're living in a household of Olympic hopefuls with your boyfriend, who's also a gymnast. So, like, what is it like for you guys to cope right now with you have to come up with your own workouts? You can't necessarily get on the mat or get with the bars or what. So what's it like for you guys trying to cope right now?
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult time, and it's funny, like you even just mentioning that, like I do feel for my boyfriend. Wrestlers, like I can hand fight in the grass. I actually bought my own mat. I can have a mat now in my house. It's not like he can go out and buy a pommel horse or have enough room to practice floor bars, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a lot different in that sense. So I'm like he's just doing handstands all day. No, but we're just finding ways to stay moving, and I think it's important just to maybe we're not so focused on our exact sport right now. We're just focused on moving, being mindful. Maybe we're practicing up here, and then just lifting. He actually put me through this like leg circuit the other day, and like neither of us could walk for like 4 days, and I'm like, what did you do to us? So it's nice having someone who is in the same boat as me. So it's like, oh, okay, we're getting up and working out now, and so it's it's not like if somebody wants to sit around, the other person probably wants to get moving, and vice versa. So we can hold each other accountable in that sense. But yeah, I do feel for him that they don't have access to any equipment. So and just kind of try and be supportive for him, and just stay excited and motivated through movement itself.
Yeah, so obviously, like, there was writing on the wall, right, that the Olympics were going to get postponed after seeing things like the NBA season and all that kind of stuff. So how did you guys prepare yourself for that news, kind of knowing that it was probably coming?
Yeah, I mean, it was like high tense times in the house. In my mind, I originally thought that postponement wasn't even an option, that it was going to either happen or it wasn't. And, I think he was a little more optimistic that a postponement was indeed a possibility. So for a while, though, there was definitely like we kind of clashed in that idea. Like I was worried about him and like obviously other NGBs pushing postponement because I thought that would just mean that, the IOC would just cancel it. So we kind of disagreed there for a little. And, that was just a strange thing. Like to me, I'm like, no, we need this to happen. We need it to happen now or it's not. And to him, it was just like, look, we can't train. This isn't realistic. Like, I don't want it to happen as planned, and obviously once I realized postponement was a possibility and then actually what was happening, it did ease a lot of my anxieties, and I'm grateful for that being a situation. But yeah, it was very, very intense, and I think just kind of putting everything into perspective, like we're going to have more time to prepare, we're going to have time for injuries to heal up, finding areas that we can make this optimistic, and just being there for one another. It's a sad time, like I'm not going to lie, I'm still processing a lot of my emotions. So to have somebody to kind of just word vomit things out, maybe that aren't always so optimistic. Maybe I'm just in the mood to kind of be, say what I'm actually feeling. It's just nice to have somebody I can kind of rebound with, and then we can obviously pull each other out of that hole as well.
Yeah, and Clarissa, for you, like what was the message that you were kind of sending out to your athletes whenever the news came about that the Olympics were postponed?
More like along the lines of, we care about your guys' health first, right? And everything is a lot of unknowns. There's still a lot of unknowns. Yeah, there's postponement. There's still no like hard date that the Olympics is going to be. And we don't know when we're going to come through this. We don't know a lot of things. But then the things that we do know are the things that we can control, right? Whether like Sarah said, is working on our mindset, whether it is doing the things that we can do from home, so just taking these moments to work on those things, like staying connected, leaning on each other, to kind of be there for each other. It's a good time to reach out and connect with, families and friends, virtually, like now that we're stay at home. But yeah, so it's kind of just staying on the course of what you can control, in these hard times of uncertainty. And if you, like, I guess, kind of go all over the place and have these anxieties and fears come back, that's fine. You acknowledge that, and then start writing things down to kind of put things into place again. So, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned basically being only able to communicate virtually or through other digital platforms. So I want to hear from both of you on what that's been like, having to basically, because you guys, I know you and Sarah and Clarissa, you guys mainly see each other every day being at the Olympic Training Center. So what's that like now, only communicating digitally rather than being face to face now?
I don't like it. I miss everyone. I miss you guys. I miss being around you guys, and like the athletes always motivate me. Like I miss doing Sarah's core workout with her every the practices, and just the energy that the team brings to the practice room every time. And yeah, like we have twice a week phone calls with the national team through Zoom. So, it's a way to like stay connected. And if anyone has any questions and whatnot, then that's a way to do it collectively as a group. But yeah, I don't know. I try to reach out, to the athletes, making sure that, they're on track, where their head is at and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly miss everyone. Like, obviously, Clarissa knows this, but like, and probably everybody knows this, but wrestlers, you know, we greet each other by underhooking and wrestling, and like, it's very like hands-on, um, and you can't do that through a phone call. It's like, oh, I just miss kind of like hand fighting with Chun in the morning right before practice, or playing foot tag, and those type of things that wrestlers do that just are such an important part of our bond and relationship as a team, as coaches, and yeah, they're just just nice. It's just a nice thing to have in your life. But obviously, I'm really grateful for Clarissa, all our coaches, and my teammates. We're keeping in contact and stuff, but I do miss everyone. And like Clarissa was saying, just the energy they bring. I can feel myself having to really, really work to get through these workouts that seem way easier than what I'm regularly doing. But I think, I'm missing such a huge chunk of that energy that is just from being in a room of people training for the Olympics. Like, that's an insane amount of power and energy that is brought to a workout, and to have it kind of taken away, and then also kind of have, a great cloud over you. You really do have to motivate yourself to get up and moving. So I'm obviously cannot wait till I'm back in the room with all the ladies and our coaches, I think we're going to just be set on fire, with a goal and motivation, and just to be around each other. I think we'll all appreciate each other so much more. And it's going to make us a lot closer as a team.
When do you guys think this was the last time you went this long without going to a practice?
Yeah. So, I mean, I did go through injury in 2017 with my elbow, and I really hope this doesn't last as long as that did. But yeah, I mean, I just can only equate this to injuries in the past, and that's kind of what keeps me at ease, is knowing that I've always come back a lot stronger after injuries. I've always come back a lot stronger after being away from the mat for an extended period of time, and that is not something I naturally could do on my own. Like, I struggle sometimes being like, step away. And so the fact that this has been forced on me, I think there's still good things I can take from it.
Yeah, I was going to ask next, actually, you kind of just touched on a little bit, but like, what is something with this like social distancing and the self-isolation that we're kind of forced to practice? What is something that you kind of learned about yourself? I want to hear from both of you on it.
Go ahead, Clarissa.
I don't mind being at home. I really don't. Like, I feel like our lives have been like go, 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 travel here, travel there, whatnot, And I honestly don't mind slowing it down and being home and just making calls home and to my family and friends and just connecting. I think in a weird way, like I know I needed this a little bit, like it's unfortunate in the times that we are in that this is happening, and I think the hardest part is not knowing, still. So, but yeah, I don't mind being home.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a homebody as well. But with that said, I think it's just a great time to like, reflect. And life is so go, 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 and I have to be here. And then when you finally get home, you're exhausted from the day. There's no time for like putting more thought into other things. So, this kind of forced time away, at least for me, like with my elbow, it was a time where it forced me to reflect on areas that I never would have given attention to otherwise. And I think the same can be said about now. And for anybody is, we can't necessarily put all of our focus and attention into what we regularly do. So I think naturally you'll find areas where you can give a little more attention to, and how just that attention or reflection can go such a long way in those areas that have never even gotten that. So I don't know. I think it's just good. I'll be able to find other areas I need to improve on, or maybe I'm finding something that I actually really enjoy that I can now expand on. So I think there are a lot of great things that are coming of this. Like Clarissa said, it's just the timing of it is absolutely horrendous and not ideal, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't still take advantage of what it has to offer.
Yeah, I guess moving forward was kind of like your plan. Obviously, things are on hold, as you've mentioned, but with your weight cut or with your weight transition down to 50, what does the plan look like for you now? I guess with maintaining that weight or whatever that process entails.
Yeah, initially when this happened, that was obviously something that was in the forefront of my mind is, oh, I finally got my weight in a really great place, and now I can't work out like I was, and I'm surrounded by food every second. But, I'm a pretty disciplined eater for the most part, and I don't want things to change. I obviously am fine with putting on a little bit more weight. I think it'll be good on a standpoint of like letting my injuries heal. But I'm still planning out my meals. I'm still eating things. I think just the intensity of it has kind of eased up a little, which is fine. It's important to kind of have that balance in there. But yeah, 50 is obviously still where I'll be, and I'm gonna always be in hitting range of that weight. So it's just about staying disciplined, still eating things I need to eat, but not being too hard on myself in the same page. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job of it right now, and I think it also just kind of puts in, not getting to work out as much. It really puts an emphasis on what I am eating and fueling myself with, and knowing that, it kind of makes it easier. Just like, this is what you're going to find success in, is in your diet right now. So kind of pouring myself into that.
Okay, I think now, because we only have a few more minutes for you guys to have another call, so maybe we can go into like the more fun stuff. I want to hear from both of you guys, like obviously Clarissa, you're not competing anymore, but I do want to know like what your go-to wrestling move is, and like how that came to be, like who did you learn it from or who inspired it. So let's start with Clarissa, I guess.
Oh man, I don't know. I think it just depends what point of my career what my go-to was. Like I think like I've added or evolved into like different go-tos based on whether it was like either my opponents or my injuries that I've had, that made me have to adjust to certain situations. But I mean, I don't know. I like everything from like a single, a high C, like 2-in-1 defense attack, kind of like yeah. That inspiration was like a Satya thing. A trap arm gut was my go-to as far as if I was on top. I love any kind of front headlock, like front headlock throw, front headlock, go behinds, whatever, knee taps. An arm throw, obviously, with my judo background. So I don't know. I can't say one go-to. That's hard. I don't have. That's bad. I didn't really specialize in just one.
Yeah, no, she's a freaking animal. So, like, imagine wrestling someone like that where every move is their go-to move.
No.
That's what it's like training with her.
I just like everything,
Yeah, no, and she's good at everything. But I would say my go-to that I feel like people most equate to a move that I do a lot is that slide by from an over tie. I mean, it's a fun move. I really like it. I learned it because it has a lot to do with like momentum and pressure. And, I was a girl wrestling boys, and they would often come in just like trying to be super strong, and it didn't require strength. It actually used strength against them. So my older brother actually taught it to me, which is really cool because now it's a move that is, been in my arsenal for a long time, and now has become something like a very key move of my own. And I've kind of put my own touch on it. So, yeah, I would say that's probably one of my go-to moves, and definitely a move that people see me do a lot.
So, Clarissa, you saying you're good at everything, or I guess Sarah saying you're good at Sarah said it, sorry. So if we had like Clarissa Chun in her prime and Sarah Hildebrandt in her prime, and you guys wrestled, who do you think would come out on top?
Sarah.
Chun probably did. That probably happened once upon. No, I was so much bigger. We gotta see. Man, I don't know. That's a fun question. I'll tell you this: Clarissa does not. It's not like she's training like me regularly, and she's in there me and Jakara and everybody else. And it's like, dang, she takes it to you. It's like, it's crazy. Like, I hope I can be half as talented as her when I'm retired.
No, don't let her fool you, Taylor. It's not wrestling Sarah and Jakar. It's like, I'm the takedown dummy.
I love that. It's funny. Who would you say, Sarah, is your biggest inspiration when it, I mean, I guess it comes to life or wrestling or whatever. Who's your biggest inspiration?
Yeah, in wrestling, like right now, it'd be my little brother. He's also wrestling, and for Central Michigan. And, you know, I just feel for him and everything he's had to go through this year with NCAAs being canceled, and just really how he handled it with such grace and like just so supportive of me still through it all. And then obviously it's really cool, you know, I'm with Clarissa right now. When I was a little kid, she was the first female wrestler I ever saw. I've told the story before. I got a USA Wrestling magazine, and she was on the cover, and she was holding flowers and had a medal, and I'm like, wow, that could be me. And so it's just really cool now she's my coach. She's somebody I train with. So to have gone from someone that, the first representation of female wrestling for me was Clarissa Chun to now getting, to learn from her and train with her. It's a cool story. I feel really lucky in that regard.
And Clarissa, do you have someone that you looked up to or that you look up to maybe currently?
Oh man, like literally the whole world team this year, it was awesome to watch you guys compete, and they inspire me every day, as people on and off the mat. And when I was coming into the sport, like Tricia Saunders was the person that was the face of female wrestling. So I think she was a strong advocate for women's wrestling and pushing it to probably where it is now, in the sense of getting it recognized as a sport in the Olympics and whatnot. So yeah, although we were competitors, it was something that her and Patricia were really, and Sarah, they were ones that were really pushing women's wrestling to be an Olympic sport, and very vocal about like equality for men and women. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Sarah, if there is anybody that you could wrestle, whether it be past or present, just anybody, and I guess maybe we say size doesn't matter, who is it?
Size doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. I don't know. I mean, I would say right now I would love to test myself against some of the 50 kilos, like Yui Sasaki and Maria Stadnik. Those are people. Stadnik herself, like before I was even in this weight class, was somebody that I, just thought was a really powerful wrestler. I always wanted to test myself against her. So, now it's pretty cool. I think I will get the chance, and it'll be on a big stage, and now we're the same weight class. So yeah, those are probably people I look into right now that I'm like, yeah, I want to take it to it. I respect them as wrestlers, and I think it'll just be a great test to see where I'm at as well.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you.
Oh. Clarissa, who would you wrestle that's on the scene, on the circuit now, whether that be American or someone else?
Man, shoot. That is a good question. Okay. Oh gosh. Currently on the scene right now. Man. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Oh gosh.
I know, it's hard.
I know. Initially I was like, like if you had asked me the same question to Sarah, I would have said Carrie Icho. I want to feel like her 4-time Olympic gold, shoot, Helen, I enjoy wrestling with Helen. So Helen is just got a different feel of wrestling for me. So I think, yeah, she's fun to wrestle with. So, I mean, they're all fun to wrestle with.
Yeah, no, I would love to wrestle Yoshida and Icho as well. I think they're just kind of icons of the sport. It's like, I got to experience it. What is this?
Yeah.
Be
Oh, I
cool.
have a story. So when I lived in Japan for a very short time, I went to Nagoya where Yoshida trained, right? And her coach at the time was like, "Oh, we will buy you dinner if you can take down Yoshida." And I was 48 and she was 55 or whatever. We weren't on weight, but give or take. And so I was like, "Okay, this should be fun." I feel like this coach is like setting me up for failure, but whatever. So I go and I wrestle her and I'm like, man, this is a joke. This is not fair. I want to be 55 kilos. I want to be bigger. Needless to say, they still bought me dinner, even though I didn't get around.
Oh, that's an awesome story.
Oh, that's great. All right, well, ladies, I think that's about all the time we have. I know you guys have a call to get to, so I'll let you get to that. But thanks for joining us.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.